being. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Nerd Ledger. We are the nerds. I'm Cage. That orange blob next to me is Chair.
Chair.
And
Chair.
we are the nerds.
We're
This
on,
is a
we're on the internet. Yep.
yeah, this is a nerd podcast. We are live every Wednesday on twitch.tv/the Nerd Ledger. If you ever want to catch us live, join in the chat and whatnot. You're more than welcome to. Today, probably moving forward, we'll be doing 5 p.m. Wednesdays, 5 p.m. Pacific time. Because you have your guild raid thing at
It's not
6
rated
or something.
PvP, but
Alright,
yeah,
sure.
we do.
Yeah, but yeah, sometimes maybe 5:30, but just
Around this time.
if you want to catch us live, just go to twitch.tv/nerdledger, follow the stream, and put on the bell if you want notifications for when we go live, so you won't miss it. That's an option. Or if you don't care about watching us live, you can listen to the audio, whatever podcast platform that is. You can subscribe there, so you know when we get new episodes out, and then. If you want to watch the video from the live stream, it's always on YouTube, the Nerd Ledger on YouTube. So
Yep.
you're more than welcome to subscribe over there as well. So first of all, last week, well, just so people know, I mean, it's in the title, but we're going to be talking about the Bad Batch Season 3, Episodes 3 and 4 today. But last week... I played like a little snippet from one of my songs, and I was like, hey, if you guys want to listen to my music, you can go listen. But I didn't even tell you what the name I release under is. So if you do want to listen to the music, it's Immolation at Midnight is the band name. It's just me, but it's the band name. And and yeah, the song was called In the Shade, and it's off the album One Sunny Day. So you can go listen to that stuff if you want. But yeah. Also, I forgot to mention last week that my wife started her podcast finally, and she put out her first episode. And so it's a podcast called Deconstructing Narratives, and essentially it's her and two of her friends. They're all mental health therapists, and they're going to be tackling a bunch of mental health stuff and just talking about it together, I guess. But the first episode is really just like a... get to know them, their backgrounds as therapists, and then like some of their cultural background and stuff like that. Because I don't know why, but that's what it's about. So
Neat.
Yeah. So if you guys are interested in that kind of thing, I don't know what their premise is moving forward. I don't know how much they're going to focus on mental health topics. That was just my assumption, is that's what they would do since they're all mental health therapists. But the first episode, they're just talking about like their cultural backgrounds, and obviously that plays a role in how you behave as a therapist and how you can connect with certain people, or like offer different perspectives, and how those things have impacted you growing up and how you view things, whatever. But yeah, so I guess it's a thing. But my wife started her new position. She started a new job last Friday, and so she had like a little celebration thing, like just like with some of her friends and whatever. And so we met up at this like place kind of close to us, and like so we got there, and like most of the tables are kind of full. It's like a order your own food, sit down. It's kind of like a brewery, but like they have like food, and so like you order your food or drinks or whatever, and then you like go sit down. But most like the tables were full, and she had like 10 people coming, and so like we were waiting, and then we spoke to like one of the workers, like, oh, well, you guys can go upstairs. So like there's like this whole upstairs, and I didn't even know about it. I was like, oh shit, okay. And so like we go upstairs, and like everybody's there and like eating, and I had already finished my food because people were late, and I finished food before people got there, to be honest. But we were up there just chilling, and then like I heard like this like annoying like sound, like it sounded like somebody's like ringtone going off like in their pocket, but like I couldn't hear it that clearly. And I was like, what the fuck is that? Like, it was kind of like annoying to me. And then I noticed like there's these kids in the corner playing a piano. I was like, ah, shit, they got a piano up here. Like, okay. But I couldn't tell if they were good or bad because I could barely hear it, right? And so I was like listening and like whatever, and like I couldn't tell, whatever. And eventually they left. Like they went to go sit down and eat their food. And I was like, all right, well, I don't want to play piano in a room full of people who are good at piano. Um, but I'm assuming that these are children and they're not very good. So I decided I'm gonna go play the piano, and because I could barely hear them, like where I was, I just assumed people couldn't hear me, and so I just go to the piano, and then I just like start playing. Like I'm not a very good pianist. I just want everyone to know this. I only use it to write music, and like play the music I wrote. And so like I would just like play some of the songs that I had written, and I was just like because I just enjoy playing piano, you know. And so I'm like playing, and like after like I play like three songs, I notice there's like this 5-year-old kid just like staring at me and like clapping. And I was like, what the fuck? Like, and then like the parents are like there, and then like there's other people, and like I was like, bro, like people are just sitting there watching me play piano. And I thought that was really cool, but also really fucking creepy.
Well, people watch people play piano. Like,
Yeah,
you walk up
yeah,
to the
but I'm
piano, you
not
start
good. I'm
playing.
not
Like,
good. Like,
it doesn't matter. Okay, one, you're just engaging in negative self-talk. Two, you're obviously like, you can play the instrument. Like it doesn't matter being good or not. Like you still play, and that compared to most people is like leagues beyond. Like, wow, that guy can play the piano. All
yeah,
right.
I mean, I can play the stuff that I wrote because I wrote it on the piano, so it's easy to play it because I wrote it.
Yeah.
Like, but if you ask me to sit there and play like fucking some song, so like some Adele song, okay, I know how to play someone like you on piano, but like that's easy, But like another one that's like I've never learned, right? Like I couldn't play it, I could maybe learn it, but it'd take time, So I just write and whatever, and so like I was just playing my own songs, but it was like kind of cool because like like I can entertain like an actual child. I don't know if I can entertain adults, but there was a child who was very
Yeah, some people make a living off that, just playing the piano in like a lounge all day.
yeah, but they're
Uh,
very good. They're very good. I don't want to like negative self talk as you say, but like I'm not good. Like I can play
yeah.
only my songs, like, and I don't have like a bunch of them on piano. I have like 4 or 5 songs that I've written like on the piano. So,
Mm.
um, yeah, I mean, like I enjoy it, but like I wouldn't expect to have an audience. So it was kind of cool, but yeah, I don't know. I just thought that was an interesting story because like I didn't even think anybody could hear it, to be honest. I was like because I could barely hear it when the other people were there. So I don't know. But anyway, how are you? How's your week been?
I'm good. It's being self-organized. Been walking a lot more. Um, just working at the office, getting things working, and that's really about it. Life's been really boring for me like the past couple of months. I haven't really been doing much exciting.
Well, that's unfortunate. Well, we did last Thursday. We saw Dune Part 2.
Yep.
And so we will at some point, possibly tomorrow, be talking about that.
Yep.
Which is exciting. Because it was a movie. It was a movie. Um, and you're a big Dune fan. Have you read all the books or just like most of the books?
I read all the books.
Jesus, that's a lot of reading.
Just, they're books. I like reading books. I don't know what else to
But that's a
freaking tell
lot.
you, dude. Like
Like so,
Chapter House, like and two like I didn't really like most some of the books either. Like I'm not like a hardcore Dune fan. Like Frank Herbert wasn't the best writer in the world. Like
yeah,
he was this college professor that like just had this really trippy ideas, and he was just working on this stuff out in the desert where we live in California, and like they gave him like had him like plan like 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 hey, how would you like revitalize it, turn this desert into like an actual like place of like where there's water and like growth and life, and like that's where the original idea from Dune came from, and obviously put his own like kind of spin on it and like his own personality to it, but at the end of the day, like he wasn't like the most gifted writer in the world. So
yeah.
and there was a lot of weird horny stuff towards the end, so there's that too.
Well,
Really like like so I don't know. It's not for everybody. The last couple books definitely are. But God Emperor of Dune is very philosophical, very deep, very interesting book. Like, it's just I think it's the pinnacle of the Dune series, like is God Emperor of Dune. And everything else kind of revolves around it. So I'm really hoping, you and I will obviously have a deeper discussion on this movie, but I think it was really good. I want to go see it again.
yeah.
Maybe we'll go see it again when my parents are gone. I don't know. Um and just is just really good. That's all I got to say. Like it was really good, and like it was a little bit more closer tied in the books than the first one. That there were still a few things that they really kind of just skipped or like didn't acknowledge or any of that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, you understand why, obviously, because it's like a very long movie already. Like it's like 2 hours and 45 minutes.
Mm,
And honestly, like the closest comparison to like the scale of this adaptation would be the Lord of the Rings.
mm,
Um, and you can't say it's like the biggest book adaptation since Lord of the Rings because obviously Harry Potter was a thing as well. But um, I mean, it feels massive like that did, you know.
mm,
So it's interesting and like I read. So I know where I left off on reading, and I stopped reading it to read House of the Dragon, or like
mm.
whatever that book was. But I got through like book one, and then book two is Muad'Dib, right? So like,
No, it's Messiah.
I'm pretty sure it's called Muad'Dib.
Oh, there's. I just know there's Dune. There's Dune 2
Not
Messiah.
like
There's
not like
Dune.
actual but like the first Dune book is split into two books,
Oh,
right?
yeah,
Like it's
probably.
called book
Yeah,
one and book two, like how the Lord of the Rings is, right?
yeah,
So like Lord of the Rings is technically like six books within three books, but it's supposed to be one book.
yeah.
So, but yeah, so I got to like essentially where like you know they are out of Arakeen, like
Yep.
and everybody's dead, and now they're like figuring out what to do, kind of thing.
Yep.
So that's where I
Yeah, I
got
kind
to.
of. Yeah, I think like I said, I just read. I really liked the first book. It was really enjoyable to me. It was like just a trippy sci-fi movie. I didn't really like Messiah that much. I really didn't like Children of Dune. I mean, Messiah was okay. It was kind of like the sequel. Like it was like a direct sequel to Dune, and like it was just kind of tying up all the loose ends. Um,
Yeah, well, it's
I
because based on what I've read this week, like the director Dennis Villeneuve,
mm,
he came out and he was saying like he was like, well, Frank Herbert wrote Dune Messiah because like when Dune came out, people viewed Paul as a hero, and
mm,
like he didn't like that, and like his intent wasn't for Paul to be a hero. Is
yeah,
for him to be more of an anti-hero. So he wrote Dune Messiah to kind of like correct how people viewed him.
yeah.
Excuse me.
No
So
worries.
then like my not my assumption, but like that's why throughout the two Dune movies we have now, Dennis Villeneuve kind of worked to frame Paul more as that anti-hero already than as just a straight hero.
Mm,
Um, but even reading Dune, like Paul doesn't seem like much of a hero. Like
yeah,
based on where I am, like he's very like sure of himself, like way more sure than he is in the movies. So, but we'll have that conversation when we talk about that. So,
yeah.
um, and there are many other things that were changed that'll be interesting to discuss. So, other than that, I mean, there was some nerd news the past like week or so. I mean, there's did we talk about the set image? Yeah, we did. We talked about the Superman logo and whatever, and
Yeah.
people were mad about it, but whatever. So we talked about that. There's some Disney stuff. Um, Bob Iger coming out pretty much saying like he's axed some projects,
Mm,
which I don't know why he needed to come out and say that. We obviously like that's his job, like that's part of his job. Um, but then he also was talking about superhero fatigue, and more or less he was saying like he was saying people aren't tired of superhero movies. People just want good movies. Which is like what we've said a lot too as well is like if the product is good, people won't care. Like people won't say, "Oh, it's just another superhero movie. We're tired of superhero movies." If the product is good, people will not say that, right? Like Guardians
mm,
3 and Deadpool 3 coming up, right? Like if that movie's good, people will people will say, "Oh, that's a good movie. I heard a noise. I think we got a follower. Let me check because I don't have Stream Elements open. I didn't see it come up on the screen, so you know what I'm saying."
Oh, so you're not used to this. Well, we got to react in the moment. Wow, welcome.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. What? Welcome.
Apparently, I'm not even signed into Stream Elements,
What?
so
Don't worry about this, guys. Gage
uh,
and I will have a talk
no,
in the back.
no problem, no problem. Oh,
Yeah.
encoding overloaded. Consider
Oh, thank you.
turning down video settings or using a faster encoding preset. Fuck you, fucking.
Oh, I thought that was the name of the person for a second. Was encoding overloading. That's actually
No.
like a cool username.
No, 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 no. The
I'm sure this
follower.
person has a cool username though. A really cool, super awesome username.
Repetitious big. Don't know what that is. Repetititititi.
Don't hurt yourself.
Repetitious big. I'm gonna replay
Yeah.
it. Oh god, it's hidden. I can't see it.
Oh, no.
Where am I? Is it this? Nope. Is it this? Nope. Is it? Where are the fucking alerts in this bitch? Sorry. Anyway, so back to the superhero fatigue. Talk about that. Do you agree or do you disagree?
I mean, like, it's just that, like, that meme I sent you, like, it's the MCU is back, MCU is dead, MCU is back, MCU is dead. Like, if you just scroll up on our chat channel, you see that. Like, it all depends on how good the movies are. I think we just got really spoiled in Marvel, where we had a lot of really good movies come out one after the other. And there were, like, a lot of people with really good ideas and a lot of writers that made funny jokes, and the actors was fantastic. And, like, the CGI looked a little excessive at times, but it was still okay. And then. I just think that after I feel like a lot of the people, like, a lot of the good people that made the MCU work just kind of left after Endgame. I think that's what's really going on here, and I just think that, like, that shows, and they really should have started over with something different, with something new, and built a whole new, like, cinematic universe for themselves, and they didn't do that. So I feel like there's fatigue for this chapter, for this MCU. I think that's what's going on.
Yeah.
Try to encapsulate my thoughts as good as I can. Yeah, it's just for this specific iteration of the MCU, like, it's like just a whole new, like, what's next, and I feel like that's very fatiguing.
Yeah, I agree. I would love to get this shit to work, but I'm stupid. So, guys, I'm dumb. I'm just stupid. Yeah. Anyway. No, I mean the honest truth is if the product is good, people will only care about that. Like, most people aren't gonna give a shit about fucking like if you're putting out a good movie, people won't care that it's a superhero movie, and that's just kind of the way things go.
Yep.
And so I agree with what Bob Iger said there, and I think that, like, very clearly that's just how it's been. And like you said about, like, the meme is like, if Guardians comes out, the MCU's back, and then as soon as, like, the next movie comes out, the people don't like, oh, the MCU's dead, right? Like, it's just the reality of it. That's how people feel about it, and so hopefully at some point in the future, people will learn. People will just learn. So anyway, I'll figure out the alerts thing, and then next time I will replay your follow,
prepared.
Mr.
We'll
or
it, so
Mrs. or Miss.
We're roping
or
you into
they.
coming next time. That's right. We just roped you in.
Yeah, but much love.
Too late.
Very appreciated.
There's no escape. You will love us.
You
will.
Well, you might hate us. It's all right, because, bro, let's be honest. We're not the most professional people out there. I mean,
you will enjoy all of our content all the time.
Yeah. Well. Anyway, we're gonna talk about the Bad Batch episodes 3 and 4 of season 3 because you watched it, right? You watched them now.
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
And I like both of them. I really like both of them.
Yeah, episode 5 dropped today, but obviously we didn't watch it yet, and even if we did, we probably wouldn't talk about it to give people time to watch it so we don't completely spoil things, because we do talk about spoilers. So if you haven't watched episodes 3 and 4, you will be spoiled. So if you don't want to be spoiled, bye. But come back after you've watched them so you can listen to our thoughts. So, anyway, The Bad Batch. Oh, also, finished the live action Last Airbender. And so,
what do you think?
Overall, if people are always going to be mad about it because it's something that like a lot of people really loved, and it's hard for them to come around to seeing that changed. I mean, unfortunately, that it is going to be changed. Like there are going to be changes, but overall, it was very good. And I'll talk about it in full, probably with my wife at some point. We'll do a podcast episode about it. But I enjoyed it. I'm looking forward to more of it, and I have a lot of thoughts about some of the changes, how some of them worked, and maybe how some of them maybe didn't work. But overall, I think it was a very successful adaptation. Shiny. Okay. All right.
Yeah, I didn't watch any of it, so I have no comments. Like, I'm not really that interested in watching it, to be honest. I don't know if I ever will. I just really enjoyed watching the Avatar when I was a kid. I'm not really that obsessed over it or anything like that, like a lot of other people are. My sister really loves the Avatar series, and she loves Legend of Korra. So I don't know. I thought it was cool when I watched it as a kid, but I didn't think it was like the most crazy awesome thing in the world. That's about it.
I loved it. Like
I watched a lot of cartoons as a kid that I absolutely love, but I'm not screaming and begging for a Codename Kids Next Door like live action movie or anything like that, or a friggin' Foster Homes for Imaginary Friends live action or anything.
Yeah.
So,
I feel it.
Foster Homes for Imaginary Friends is fucking awesome. Like I love that show, and there's a lot of really deep stuff there.
You're pretty much getting an adaptation of it in Ryan Reynolds' movie If. That's what it looks like to me. It looks like Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends. So, what the fuck, bro? This is episode. I clicked episode 3. This says episode 4. Man, I'm so sad. Okay, I'm gonna tell you guys what these episodes are about. Hold on. All right, so episode 3 of season 3 of The Bad Batch is called Shadows of Tantis, and it's the 3rd episode, and the official description is Emperor Palpatine visits Dr. Hemlock to see the progress on the work being done. Nala Se cannot prevent Emery moving ahead with research that may put Omega in danger, so she secretly tells the young clone to run. Omega is adamant that Crosshair must make the escape attempt with her, but finding a way out of the facility and off the planet will be a monumental challenge. So, yeah. Yes. So this episode is just about the escape, really. I mean, and obviously the Emperor showing up is a big thing. People were very excited about that, and he was all like,
"That's pretty badass."
Continue your work, Doctor.
Everything that has transpired has done so according to my design.
I am evil. Evil.
Yeah, so
that's it's honestly like it's basically about what fucking happened. Like there's an evil, you and I kind of feel like you and I know what's going on. Maybe some of the people aren't really picking up on it. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, people have different theories, and one of the theories I've heard is like that they're making Snoke, and I don't know about that. I mean, it's possible.
Yeah.
Just like it's possible that they're reviving Asajj Ventress. I don't know if that's the case or not. Obviously, we haven't seen episode 5 or whatever is coming out after that. At this point, we still don't know exactly what Project Necromancer is all about. But if you're basing it off of what we know about not only Heir to the Empire, but also the sequel trilogy, I mean, we know that in Heir to the Empire, Tantis was the place with all the cloning technology that Thrawn wanted to find so that he'd have, all this help in reclaiming the Empire and all this shit, right? And then you merge that with what we know from the sequel trilogy, and Palpatine's back. And so Necromancer could be just if Palpatine dies, we want to be able to bring him back to life. However, that may happen through a clone, through whatever, right? I mean, they're using cloning technology. They're looking for this M count thing that Omega has. It's unique and all this shit. So there's a lot to it there. And again, I don't want to ever. My way of thinking I don't ever want to be like, it must be this or it must be that. Like, I like to keep it open to different possibilities, because there could be a number of possibilities. So who knows exactly what Project Necromancer's gonna be, and who is being necromanced, or what is being necromanced, or whatever. But we know it has to do with cloning, obviously, and we know it has to do with potentially the Emperor, or Asajj, or Snoke, or something. So I don't think it's Snoke, because I don't know if we have any real history on Snoke to know where he came from, but I'm pretty sure he wasn't a clone, or he wasn't like manufactured.
Yep.
So, but again, could be wrong. So yeah, and so this episode is really just about Omega trying to escape, recruiting Crosshair, not wanting to leave without him, and they're successful, really. I mean, the episode started with, I don't know what it started with, but at some point in the episode, right, like a battalion comes in and like crashes, and then like, so there's a ship out there that they can use to escape. Nala says like, hey, use my pad or whatever, like get out of here. And so they do that, and obviously she's not able to destroy her blood samples, so Emery does get it and discovers that she has a stable M count or whatever, and so like that's what keeps him alive. Essentially, it stops Hemlock and his army from killing them, because he needs Omega alive because of her M count now, right?
Yep.
With some help from Bacha.
Yep.
They're able to get in, the ship and escape.
Yeah, with Crosshair.
With Crosshair, yep.
Important part to remember. Yeah, they so to give it like a little depth is like, I guess they're looking for a clone. Apparently, I guess their DNA degrades every time they've been frickin' cloned. So they're looking at a clone for like nearly no degraded DNA, and I guess Omega is supposed to be like a super like ultra clone or something like that. Like she's like a pure sample of the gene.
And that lends into the idea that they're not simply cloning somebody; they're like resurrecting someone. If someone is dead and you give them clone DNA that degrades, they will die again, pretty quickly, right? So how do you stabilize someone that's died? You need regenerative cellular technology, and apparently that exists within Omega. Go on.
Yep. No, yeah. And, so Nalase, who is the freaking super tall lady, the Kimonian. She notices they got Omega sample, and she knows, like, without even knowing, like, hey, Omega, you've got like the pure sample out of all these clones, so you got to get out of here as soon as possible.
Yeah, you're fucked, Omega.
And yeah, so Omega goes down to the cell. She freaking springs Crosshair, who beats up, is like, I'm gonna take your gun and like beat the shit out of you. And he's like, how are you gonna do that? And then the minute he says that, like, the door opens and Crosshair like gives this like rage, like screaming yell, because he's like all emaciated and all fucked up. Yeah, and they escape into the jungle, going out through the freaking Batcher's kennel, because it's still empty. So they go up to the tunnel. There's like a dumb little close the tunnel. It's like, oh no, that the ray shield thing again for like the 30th time. But they they manage to get out. Surprise, surprise! They run fast enough and get out of there. So there's that. And then they run around the jungle. They blow some stuff up. They get cornered by a patrol vessel, but then they frickin' steal the patrol vessel. And and then they take off to space. And the next episode starts, and the 2 for 2. But honestly, and Batcher comes back. You know me, I'm a softie for that kind of stuff. So that's cool stuff. The Batcher just jumps on.
Well, she wasn't just gonna free Batcha, and we'll never see Batcha again, right? Like, obviously we're gonna see Batcha. So. But there's also a couple things worth noting also in this episode. Like, Palpatine does promise Hemlock, like essentially all the resources are at your disposal because I believe in your work and what's in your ability to achieve what we're looking for. And he also warns him, like, bro, make sure nobody knows about this shit. Nobody knows about this facility on Wayland because a lot of like people within the Empire would view this shit as like an abomination. I heard it again. I heard another noise, bro. If we got, I need to get these alerts fixed. I need to. Bottle my T8 Bottle Myth 5. Bottle Myth 5, thank you for the follow. Sorry it doesn't show up on the screen. This shit is fucking useless. I have to fix it. Also, you might be a bot if you type this thing.
Oh yeah, I know. It's yep.
Hello, sorry for bothering you. I want to offer promotion for your... No, yeah, you're a bot, brother. Sorry.
We got followed by a bot. The bots are coming for us.
Yeah, you know what it is? The other guy's probably also a bot. So there was an issue with, like, when people followed, they weren't able to type in chat for, like, 3 months or something. So I changed it to, like, allow it immediately. And obviously, the bots are just going to bot, you know what I'm saying? They're just going to bap, 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 bap. But, yeah, I don't know. Anyway... yeah, it's a bot. So yeah, the Emperor's like, hey, people in the Empire, if they know about this, like, they might revolt because, like, of what we're doing. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's clearly, like, not good. So, but yeah, They're
doing something. They're doing something nefarious.
For sure. But yeah. And then episode 4 is called A Different Approach. And this episode is about Omega and Crosshair being stranded in dangerous territory and needing to work together. Yeah. So essentially they crash land on this planet. And there's a bunch of like troopers and stuff there. The Empire has a heavy presence there, and so they're trying to navigate their way around. Omega thinks she has everything figured out. She knows what she's gonna do. She knows how they're gonna get out. They go to like this train station, or not train station, but like the station. They're like, hey, we need passage for 2 people, under the radar. Wink, 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 wink. And then the guy was like, yeah, no problem. Only like $15,000 a ticket per person. Dumb
10,000.
fuck. Was it?
No, is it 10,000 or I think it was 10,000 per person.
Yeah, I mean, it was a lot.
Don't quote me on that. Maybe you're right. I don't know.
Yeah, it would be 30,000 for 2 tickets. And so Omega hustles the fuck out of some bitches, and then she hustles the fuck out of this Imperial officer, and they come away with like 35K, and then like then they leave and Batcher's gone. Batcher. And so like there's some street vendor and it's like, oh, I know where Batcher is, but you must pay me 10,000, a bunch of credits, whatever. So they paid him 5,000, and he was like, yeah, the Imperials took him. You're fucked. So they end up like tracking down Batcher, and like Omega has to concede. She has to concede. Like, it's, we're not doing this my way anymore. I got to do it Crosshair's way, okay? Because I don't know everything, despite the fact that I'm special and have a great M count and whatnot. And so, by essentially working together, they're able to escape. And meanwhile, Nalase is like a full-on prisoner now of Dr. Hemlock. And yeah, he's like, hey, we got her blood sample. I'm pretty sure we know why we haven't got it sooner, Nalase. So, yeah, that happens too. And then the ending of the episode is where Omega reunites with Hunter and Rekka, and it's honestly, I almost cried. It's very emotional.
Very emotional, yeah.
And then Crosshair, they're like, oh, how'd you do it? Like, how'd you get out? And she's like, I had help. And then Crosshair, steps out, and then they look all angry at him. You know what I'm saying? And I'm glad the episode ended there, because like if Omega had started to like defend him and stuff, I probably would have full on broke down and cried. But luckily the episode ended, so I didn't have to cry.
Yep.
But yeah, it was a very good episode. it's great to see that dynamic between Omega and Crosshair, especially like from where they started. Omega's always like been like she's never like had a problem with Crosshair, but Crosshair obviously always had a problem with Omega,
Yeah.
and
Crosshair's
so
a problem with everybody.
well, I mean, yeah, it's true, but like Crosshair was the most affected by the chip in the head kind of thing. You know what I'm saying? So, but yeah, I mean, even at the end of season 2, like you could see the cracks, right? Like he tried to like warn them that they were coming after Omega, and everything, and even though he like kind of was like pushing back against her a little bit early on, he's like, oh, there's no hope, there's no escape, like we're fucked, kind of thing. Like, he's coming around, and I think he like respects her and appreciates her now, and so it's good to see like their relationship kind of get stronger. We still don't know anything about Tick. We don't know if he's alive or dead or whatever, but I mean everybody assumes he's alive somehow. So, but yeah, just getting that like reunion at the end was I think was very well done, and it really hit the spot.
Yep.
But yeah, what are your thoughts? What do you think of this episode?
This is another good one. I thought that Imperial officer was cool. Still a scumbag, but at least he had like, he was just cool looking. Uh, uh,
Oh yeah.
This one kind of felt kind of fillery too until the very, obviously at the very end where they like rescue, when they meet up. They I don't know. There's no one else to say about it because they got to the planet. They hustled some credits. You're right. They hustled some credits. They had a free badger and they stole that giant cargo freighter and they left. And then they just met up with Wrecker and
Hunter.
the other guy.
Yeah.
Hunter. Yeah, Hunter.
Well, they freed a bunch of other animals too, right?
Yeah.
And like some giant thing eats the officer or something.
Yeah, it was one of those. I think it was one of those things from episode 7.
The Rathtar. Rathtar, yeah, Rathtars.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh shit. Hold on. Talk about the episode real quick.
Oh. So other good things that happened were that the animation was really good. I was noticing that too, like, the light spending on like their face and stuff like that was pretty dope. That's how like again, like it always trips me out, but I keep remembering like this is like a render, like it's a 3D rendering, so it's basically just a really long video game cutscene. It just crazy to me that like they render this kind of stuff on a computer somewhere, like that it's all done on computer, and then they add the voice lines, and that's really impressive. So that was cool. And it's really cool seeing like the rendering effects change over time from like episode 1 of the Clone Wars to now. Like it just looks like it looks like 200 times better. It really does.
Yeah, it does. It's very the animation is very good, and then the other thing is like I do push back a little bit on the filler episode kind of thing because even though sure like these episodes are easily defined as like filler episodes, like they still matter in a lot of ways to like establish certain character growth or relationships or whatever else that like help move the story forward in a lot of ways. And like even though they're like kind of like one shots or one-off episodes, and the only important part really is the ending, right, where they reunite. I mean, the rest of this episode is going to go a long way in Omega getting Rika and Hunter to accept Crosshair back, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, it is true, like, this episode and episode 2, like, even if you eliminate all of episode 2 where, like, Hunter and Wrecker are, like, trying to find Omega, like, if you just don't watch that episode, like, you wouldn't realize you missed anything.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like, it is, establishing some other things, like, and helping to kind of build a certain narrative that, I guess it's one of those things where, like, it's kind of like reading the book of something before watching the movie, or reading a comic book before watching the adaptation. Is like, if you did watch them, your viewing of the other thing may be enhanced, but if you didn't, you won't miss anything. And that's kind of how like episode 2 was. Like, if you watched it, like, it'll probably enhance the way you view things moving forward. But if you never watched it, you didn't really miss anything. Like, it's not going to detract from your viewing experience moving forward. So,
Yep.
but yeah, I'm looking forward to the rest of the season. I think the Bad Batch is one of those things where like it never needed to happen. It didn't need to be made, but it's allowing them to kind of expand more and go more in this direction of like exploring some of the extended universe stuff that like kind of fell by the wayside because it's not canon anymore. And it's like, well, how can we integrate some of those ideas and themes that we really enjoyed? And I think the way that they're doing that is through shows like The Bad Batch and then Ahsoka as well. And it seems like right now the emphasis is really on Heir to the Empire and Thrawn and, this cloning stuff, right? So don't be surprised if you see Tantus and Wayland back in the Ahsoka series, like if Thrawn goes there in an attempt to rebuild his army that we know is very depleted in Ahsoka. And he's going to need a lot of troops. And how does he get troops that don't need a bunch of time to learn and be trained and whatever? Well, go to the cloning facility. So, I imagine that's where we're headed. I don't know if you have thoughts on that or if you think that maybe it's going somewhere else, but...
I don't know, like they made this pretty obvious last season, so if they want to tie it into something greater, they can do that. That's fine. It just depends on how they pull it off and if it's good or not. That's all I really care about. Like if it's a good story.
It's not even really tying it in. It's just like bringing back some of the things that are here, right? Like,
yeah.
I don't imagine we'll see any of these characters in that, but we will probably see Tantus, the place, right? The cloning facility, and like, I don't know if like, it's really odd. Sorry, I spoke really loud into the mic, but it's really odd because when you think of Heir to the Empire and Wayland and Tantus, right? Like one of the big things is the clone of Jedi Master Sabayoth, right? And like this kind of evil clone who works with the Empire with the sole mission and sole promise that he will have delivered to him the remaining Jedi in the world, right? Leia, her two unborn children, and Luke. And if you try to do that sort of thing now with this canon, well, there's a lot more Jedi, right? There's Ezra and there's Ahsoka, and it might make sense moving in that direction. Like, hey, these are going to be the focus of Sabayoth here. Like, he wants to try to control their minds and raise a new army of Jedi moving forward and whatever. I don't know how necessarily you do that without the Leia thing. You'd have to really adapt it, and obviously that's all possible. But it'll be interesting to see kind of where they want to take things. But I believe in Dave Filoni. I think he knows what he's doing and he knows what he wants to do. And obviously he has a lot of input over these episodes of The Bad Batch because he helped create The Bad Batch. So.
Yep. And it's the last season, so you can do whatever he wants. And they made it like obvious this is the last season,
Yeah, it's been called the final season, and so.
Yep.
Yeah. But I don't really have anything else to say about these episodes. I just look forward to the rest of the season, and then also. Do you know what Shogun is?
They've seen a lot of advertisement. It's on Disney Plus. I haven't watched it yet. Why did you watch it?
Well, so it's based off a book that came out a long time ago, but there was an old TV show of it, from the 70s, like 60s or 70s. And I remember watching it when I was like, I don't know, like 8 or 9. And I really liked it back then, and I don't remember much of the story, but I did watch the first episode of the new one. It's obviously like way more better quality. And for people who don't know what it's about like English people who arrive in Japan and like they're more or less pirates, and they want to spread the word of like Jesus, but like I think they're Protestants, and then like the Portuguese are already there and they're spreading Catholicism and all this shit, and like Um, essentially one of like the captain or whatever from the English, like he gets like captured and like eventually becomes like a samurai, but in this adaptation after like the first episode, like essentially like they just captured him and they want to use his weaponry, like he's still a captive, but like they found a bunch of like guns and shit on his boat, and they want to use it because the shogun or the leader of of Japan has like just died, and like his heir isn't of age yet, so like there's like this council of people that are like ruling the country, and one of them is like trying to go against the other ones, and so like they want to use his weapons and all this shit. So
Yeah, the guns.
yeah,
Good old
it's
guns.
yeah, it's like 1600s Japan, and that's like the kind of thing. But I don't know how they'll adapt it. I think a modern adaptation of Shogun where a white dude shows up and becomes like this major samurai is gonna make a lot of people mad. But I don't remember how. I remember in the old show like he wore like the robes and had like the swords, and I'm pretty sure he became a samurai. But I don't remember that clearly. I just remember John Rhys Davies was in it. So anyway, what have you been watching?
Anime, which makes it even better because I didn't really watch anime at all.
I mean,
I've been watching Free Run Beyond Journey's End, which is a fantastic anime. And when it wraps up, it's probably gonna win the anime of 2024. Just because it finished its season in 2024, not because it like came out in 2024. But I'm waiting for the last 3 or 4 episodes. So doing that. I'm watching another one called Shangri-La Frontier, which is a really fantastic like an MMORPG anime. And it's just like, some of the other MMORPG animes are kind of weird, but this one is like actually seems like it was made like by a gamer or someone who knows how like gaming communities work and stuff like that.
all right.
So I really enjoy this one.
What about did you watch the Spy Family thing? Spy X Family?
Spy X Family. Yeah, I did watch all of Spy X Family at least this season. I haven't watched the new season yet. I don't think. I think there's a second season out right now. I haven't watched that.
Okay. What
But
about My Hero Academia, or is that too mainstream
Yeah.
anime?
No, it's not too mainstream. MHA is great. I haven't been keeping up with it lately. I've been too busy like watching Demon Slayer, and then I go right back into I go
Well,
back into something else.
Attack
so.
on Titan just ended, right? Did you watch
Yeah,
all that?
after all these years.
Do you watch Attack on Titan?
I think I'm going to now that it's 100% complete.
Okay. Also, I know you enjoy partaking in the Mary Janes.
Yeah, I smoke weed.
So my guess is you love Rick and Morty.
I like parts of it. I haven't watched the new season though. I really want to like watch the new season.
Bro, I watched like
Like,
the first 2 seasons. I sat through all of that. I hated every minute of it because stoners kept telling me it's the best show ever.
No. I don't know. I mean, it's all about down to personal preference. If a lot of the humor goes over your head, and you don't enjoy it,
When's the pinball thing?
In May.
Oh, for some reason I thought it was in March.
Nope, it's in May.
Okay.
In May.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah, I really need to watch new Rick and Morty. I want to see if it's any good or not.
Was
with,
the
like,
one
the
guy
new
still
voice.
part of it, or did he like?
No, he got kicked out. Like even though he got exonerated, I think he got kicked out.
Did he get
because
exonerated
apparently,
because he was innocent, or is he still a weirdo?
nobody knows.
Okay.
That's the problem right now. Nobody knows what's going on. You could have just hired a really good lawyer, and they found some way to get the case thrown out. Which is actually easy to do, depending on how the police conduct the mission or what they're doing or whatever.
Yeah.
So they have a new voice actor, and apparently like his personal behavior like was just not very cash money of him. So there's that too. That made it maybe a reason why he didn't come back.
Well, yeah. I mean, come on now. Like,
Yeah.
when you have like, what are they called? Like, character witnesses, against you. I mean, bro, there's probably some fucky shit going on,
Mm.
But But yeah, I don't know. The only stuff that really has been happening is they released a bunch of like Blu-rays of all the Disney Plus shows. I don't know why. I know so many retailers are stopping, like they're not carrying physical media anymore. At least like, video games will be like they won't be, you won't be able to get physical copies at a certain point. Or what'll happen is that you'll only be able to get them from the manufacturer, right? Or like, which maybe will make them cheaper. Probably not.
Yeah.
I mean, because then all these companies have to then establish the these other kind of things, like they're no longer selling to GameStop and Walmart and Target. They're selling like direct to consumer, and there's other stuff that has to go into that, obviously. So I don't know. How that'll work, but we'll see, I guess. But yeah, it's interesting, like, to just see them even still releasing. Like, I think the only way people still buy Blu-rays is like because they want the collectible whatever, right? Like, oh, it comes in a collector's like steelbook or whatever. It has like this special thing that like will make it worth money in 20 years. So I don't know. Or they just people that think that one day the internet will crash and they'll never be able to watch these things unless they have the physical media. But if the internet's crashing, my guess is electricity will also be hard to use.
Or maybe like Pokemon, where it's really hard to play these games without going outside, like, the accepted means. Like, in order to play Pokemon Crystal, you either have had to have bought it before the store was taken down in 2015 on the 3DS, which is no longer a supported console by Nintendo. Or you have to have an original Game Boy Advance or like, maybe a Game Boy Advance SP from like 2005 and an original cartridge for Pokemon Crystal that hopefully hasn't died yet. The internal clock hasn't died yet.
Can't you like get it like an encoded whatever on PC or something?
Well, yeah, you can emulate it, but that's not technically legal, right? That's the problem is like if it goes away. Like the problem isn't it like the internet crashing or anything.
I've seen people play like emulated Nuzlocke on their PCs, like on stream, like.
Yeah, absolutely. But what I'm saying is though, is the problem is like you have to access that like through illegal means. Those means aren't supported. Nintendo just took down a huge Switch emulation like service the other last week, and it made them pay like $1 million to frickin' to Nintendo for damages.
Nintendo's crazy with their shit.
Yeah, I know they are, and like the problem is like the Pokemon games are essentially like again, there's no legal means to access them, so that's why I think people want physical media. Because what if these movies like what's that there's a Supergirl movie, right? Like like what if they released it and they like had a really short run and then they just decided to like scour it from the internet, Like that's the thing. Like it's good to have these, and for me personally, I guess it's so I can have old anime that it's really hard to get to, like on its own already.
Yeah,
so,
I mean, there's homes for it though, right? Like I mean, like most anime you could find on a streaming service, whether it's Crunchyroll or Netflix or Hulu
not
or
some
whatever,
really old
right?
specific anime. It's hard to find like Big O. Big O is my first example. It's really hard to find Big O.
I don't know what that is.
Like, exactly because it's a really obscure anime. It was on Toonami in the early 2000s.
Bro, honestly, I don't know what most animes are. Like my wife was scrolling through Netflix like 3 years ago, and she's like, "Oh my god, they have Card Captor Sakura